Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, Lang Pinoy. Once again, welcome and saan man kayo ngayon. I hope nasa mabuting kalagayan. And today's content, video na ating mapanood at marinig. Isa sa mga hinangaan ng bawat isa sa mga paboritong Hollywood actor. And papakinggan natin ang kanyang testimony after the event of Wildfire. Isa siya sa mga naapektuhan o affected na kung saan nasunog ang kanyang bahay at lahat ay walang natira. And let's hear her voice kung saan makita mo ang kanyang faith towards his faith to God and paano siya magbigay ng words of encouragement. So napakaganda po. Panoorin po natin sabay-sabay. Let's watch this video courtesy by Raymond Arroyo sa kanyang channel. Let's visit his channel and support sa mga nag-interview ko. Walang iba kundi kay Mr. Mel Gibson. Tara na po, panoorin po natin.
I wonder if this is, or if you're regarding this as a spiritual preparation for the resurrection movie you're about to embark on.
I feel like I'm being stripped down and prepared for something else. Now that's maybe very personal, but I feel like the Almighty's preparing me to do something big.
I'm Raymond Arroyo. Welcome to Arroyo Grande. I'm so glad you're here. This is our inaugural voyage into the wild currents of this culture. My conversation with Mel Gibson is straight ahead, and it's both moving and insightful. He tells us about how he's recovering from the loss of his home in the LA fires, and later, the backstory of Braveheart, which I'd never heard before. Mel takes us behind the scenes also of his latest project, Flight Risk. Okay, before we dive in, I thought I should give you a little itinerary of what I hope this applaudcast means to you. I hate the term podcast. I use applaudcast because when it's over, I want you to applaud. I'm too broad for a podcast. We're not chickpeas and we're not coffee. Call it what you want, as long as you subscribe to Arroyo Grande and keep checking in with us. As most of you know, I've written a string of New York Times bestsellers for adults and kids, some adults who act like kids. I've been on TV for decades, and I started in kindergarten. Yes, I did. But this is a new adventure for me. It's more direct, not hemmed in by time limitations or much else. On each Arroyo Grande show, I'm going to navigate and analyze the culture with you. We'll hit lifestyle trends and manners, or lack thereof, the arts, faith, pop culture, comparing what is to what went before, and sharing what it all means. We'll celebrate the best in the culture while lampooning the rest. And along the way, we're going to talk about, and to, some incredible people about their work, their lives, their passions, and unearth practical advice and life lessons and examples that we can use in our daily lives. And hopefully, we'll have a few laughs along the way. The Arroyo Grande in the title, by the way, does not refer to Big Ray. It's the grand flowing waters of life that I'm interested in exploring. At the end of this episode, I'll tell you why we're doing all of this. That's called a cliffhanger, so hang with us. But I'm going to start this and every episode with what I call a free flow. Here goes. What happened to going to the movies? Oh, I know you're sitting home now, you're watching Hulu and Netflix, but admit it wasn't going to the theater fun. I would argue it's also important to us as a people. We forget how long we've been watching images in the dark. The first Nickelodeons were introduced in 1905, where moving images could be viewed. Soon projectors gave way to incredible movie making. Then the talkies. And by 1933, drive-ins were introduced. Like sports, movies gave all Americans and the world a way to relax and escape reality together. That all came to a screeching halt in 2020 when COVID hit. A recent Harris poll found that 2 in 3 people prefer to watch movies at home now. Are they watching what I'm watching? Big stars in kind of pathetic, half-baked vehicles? Admit it. Charlize Theron in a forgettable spy thriller is not exactly Mission Impossible. And is Eddie Murphy doing another reboot of a really great film this week? It all feels disposable. And because we aren't watching it together, it is disposable. It's like gum. It might taste good for a few minutes, but you won't share it with your neighbor and you'll never discuss it tomorrow with your coworkers. We just aren't going to movie theaters that often. And that's bad for us and it's bad for our kids. According to Advan, in 2024, attendance at the Cineplex is still 33% below 2019 pre-COVID levels. Look, I get it. I've spoken to studio heads who say we've not had enough consistent, high-quality product, which broke the habit of movie-going. People still want to be entertained, but they feel they can do it at home or in their jammies or boxers. The studios have offered up mostly franchise reboots, Jurassic Park, Deadpool, Star Wars, or whatever live-action remake mess Disney is releasing this week. A little incidental question here. How did CGI animation become live action? I'm asking for a friend, Pinocchio. No wonder audiences are staying home. Only Oppenheimer broke through a non-franchise flick a few years ago. And Barbie, but she was kind of an established franchise. Come on, every girl had one. Here's why it matters. Because when we come together with strangers and we sit in the dark and enter the dreamland of the filmmaker's imagination, something incredible happens. Up there, Nicole Kidman even looks younger. Heartbreak feels good in a place like this, but not when you can't keep the doors open or when the guy next to you forgot to shower. There's a crucial cultural reason that we should go to the movies as a group. When you're in that darkened theater, you're sharing a human experience with others. It's not some isolated thing on your phone via earbuds, but a shared moment as one. It's almost sacred when it works. I would argue, like sporting events, we need these times together. When you're being entertained as one, it's easier to live together as one outside the theater. Movies can be, and were for decades, a source of cultural unity. We shared the same references. We loved and hated the same characters. Sam Spade and Indiana Jones and Dorothy Gale, Rhett Butler, Fredo Corleone. We all knew these characters. It's hard to come up with any contemporary examples with that kind of ubiquity, Wolverine aside. To try to lure people in, theater owners have now gone from Technicolor to 3D to IMAX to those damn shaking seats that make you want to hurl your snow caps all over the row in front of you. Now they brought booze and lazy boys in. That'll only lull the audience to sleep and make them feel they could replicate the experience at home, in loungewear or underwear. To bring back movie-going, Hollywood has to improve their product, make films, rides we all want to go on together. It's important for society and the civility of our kids to develop the habit of coming together and learning as a group and being entertained at the same time. If we want to grow as a people, and if theater owners want to fill their chairs, they should heed the words of that great oracle, Nicole Kidman, who once said, "We make movies better." We'll see. And that's a wrap. Okay, let's go into the deep. Here's a man who's been making movies better for 40 years. He's an Academy Award-winning director for his Braveheart, and if there were any justice in the world, he would have won Oscars for The Passion of the Christ and Apocalypto as well. I sat down with Mel Gibson 20 years ago on the set of The Passion, which I can't believe, and conducted the first interview about that landmark film. Now, you're going to hear about his latest movie, a thriller called Flight Risk. It's an interview we recorded at his house, which is coming up. But when these horrible fires struck LA in January of 2025 and he lost his home, I wanted to see how he was doing and talk to him about the recovery. Mel Gibson joins me now. Mel, thank you for being here. Well, Mel, what did you think when you drove up to the beautiful room people will see in just a moment where we conducted this interview, when you saw your neighborhood, when you saw your entire community? What did you imagine or think at that time?
Well, first, I thought it was just, bad luck, tragedy. But then I think I came to realize that it was monumental mismanagement by our elected officials, and that's the nicest thing you can say about it.
Yeah, I've been listening to your governor, Gavin Newsom, and he's promising LA 2.0, a reimagined Los Angeles. He even says he has a Marshall Plan. Is that what you and your neighbors want right now?
Well, I mean, as a citizen here, Newsom and Bass, they want us to trust them to reimagine the city, our city, in how they think it should be. And I mean, look what they've done so far to this town, I mean, you got nothing but rampant crime, acute homelessness, high taxes, mismanagement of water, firefighters, defunding the department, and we're supposed to trust them with millions of dollars to sort of remake where we live. It's our city. It's the city of the people. And they have another plan. And, he's saying, build back better. This concept that's got whiskers on it. Everybody says it. And have you ever seen government build back better? I mean, there's still people from the Woolsey Fire living in trailers and stuff, okay? When have you seen the government build back better?
Very rarely.
Social engineering, environmental regulation, and spending. That's the last thing any of us who've been burned out need, are a bunch of bureaucrats telling us how to rebuild our communities. I just think it's at the very least, it's insensitive.
Yeah, well, I mean, and with the water challenges, I mean, just focusing on the water, Mel, the reservoir that was left empty, which is the second largest in your community, in all of the state, that alone raises such intense questions, and it boggles the mind that now you have these people saying, but we should be entrusted with rebuilding the future. You couldn't hold on to the present.
No, they've bungled it, I think. I mean, there are those who say, well, was it intentional? Do they need to rebuild the Olympic Village and clear, like the cattle barons clearing off land? Or, I won't go that far. But it certainly was, the perfect storm of events, with no water, defunded fire department, not enough personnel, and the second largest reservoir in the state, to take care of the communities of the Palisades, Malibu, L.A. County. They should have had a backup plan, and they knew it was coming, and they had other places where they could pump the water from and actually fill that to be ready. They knew it was coming.
Yeah. So. Well, look, as you know, I lost my house in Katrina. Our family lost our house, and it was gutting, and it was awful. But, I came to see it as a great blessing in my life, in time. I was struck this week, you did an interview, and you said, in passing, you see this loss of your home as a purification. How so?
Well, it was an odd mixture of sadness and kind of a weird realization and blessing, I think, because I thought, they're just things. I mean, I'm going to miss some stuff. There was valuable stuff. There was personal stuff that just breaks my heart, But, I feel like I'm being stripped down and prepared for something else. Now, that's maybe very personal, but I feel like the Almighty's preparing me to do something big.
Well, I have to say, when I heard that, I thought, I wonder if this is, or if you're regarding this as a spiritual preparation for the resurrection movie you're about to embark on.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. It's like, hey, look, God gives, God takes. We come in with nothing. That's the same way we go out, And here's the deal. You'll always be okay. If you seek first the kingdom of God, you'll always be okay. You'll get what you need. Look at the flowers of the field. Look at the birds of the air. They get fed. They get clothed. I mean, it's Matthew, I think. But that was one of my dad's favorite passages. He said, stop worrying about stuff, about money, about stuff. So, that's, I think he put that in my head when I was very young, and it stayed, and I believe it,
Yeah.
So we'll be all right.
How has your faith gotten you through this, Mel? I mean, I know you're a man of faith. I know you practice your faith. Devotions, I mean, it's always a traumatic moment because people don't understand unless you've gone through this. The geography of your life, the daily visuals of your life are suddenly gone. It is, to me, that was worse than losing the house, Mel. Losing the coffee shop, losing the friends, losing the icons of my childhood that I remembered, that I reveled in every day.
It's kind of an opportunity to recreate your path. I mean, it's you gotta look at the upside of this. I mean, there's plenty of downside, and but honestly, I see it as kind of a blessing and a purification. So, yeah, you lose. Yeah, it's going to be murder getting the insurance. I mean, everybody's reneging, and it's going to be a real cluster buster.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that's all ahead. I got a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Not in our elected officials, no, not much
but it
faith
makes you
in them.
free. But personally, it frees you in some ways from the things you've been carrying around for even the things you thought you needed. You realize you don't need a whole lot to survive and do the work.
I'll tell you a funny story. I mean, it's cold at the moment where I'm at, and it's like this guy calls me up. He's a friend of mine. He says, "Hey, you got a warm coat?" And I said, "No." Because, I'm sorry, I'm dressed like Zelensky, but not by choice. But he said, "You got a warm coat?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have a warm coat." And he said, "I got one for you." And I feel kind of like, gee, that's nice of you. I said, "Is it going to fit me? You're 6 feet 3 inches tall." And he said, "No problem. It's going to fit you because you gave it to me during the Woolsey fire. And now I'm giving it back."
Gosh. Wow. Full
and I
circle,
said, "You cheapskate, you cheapskate mother hugger,"
Paying it forward, indeed. Look, and there's something there's something else here I don't want to leave on the table. You said to Joe Rogan that the timing of the Passion sequel, The Resurrection of the Christ, 20 years later is perfect. Why? Why do you think it's perfect now, Mel?
Well, I think, the cares and the weeds and the flower, they've all grown up around us in the last 20 years to a degree where I think society is kind of devolving somehow. And I think we need a reminder of the most basic things and the things that forms our civilization, And I think, as we watch it kind of, the civilization being threatened by the various earmarks that, are precursors of the loss of any civilization. So I believe it's not in my timing. I thought, man, it's too late. It's like 20 years. I mean, wow. Jim's got wrinkles. What am I going to do? And
and along came CGI. Thank goodness.
Yeah, you can do something. Put a little Vaseline on the lens. Say, "Jim, turn around." No. He actually, I got to say, 20 years is not dented. Jim looks great still, so it's fantastic. I don't look so good, but Jim does.
Oh, come on.
But so I thought it was like 20 years. Maybe a bit too late, but I think now it's perfect because, and I've had all these things taken, and it sort of frees me up to not worry about that stuff and just move ahead and do what I'm being called to do, and I'm being called to do it.
Wow!
So I don't even know why it's the right time, but I think it is.
No, it certainly feels like it is.
Feel that.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I know you've been toying with it and fighting with it and wrestling with it for all of these 20 years.
Oh yeah, no. It's a big subject and very complex, and it's taken all those years to contemplate it, think about it, and distill it with the help of 2 writers, and so it's a puzzle, but I think I found a way in.
Yeah. What are you hearing from your neighbors, Mel? Going back to this tragedy you all find yourselves in the midst of, do they want to move on? Do they want to stay and rebuild the community in Malibu? What are you hearing?
Well, a lot of people's spirits are broken, because it's it happened and then it happened again, and then you realize that your elected leaders are not really. You don't trust them.
Yeah.
And is it going to happen again? And a lot of people just want to move on. I mean, people were already moving out of the state in droves.
Yeah.
Droves. They go to Texas. They go to Idaho. They go to South Carolina and all these different places to get away from a political and a social climate developing here that they did not dig. And they wanted to go someplace where they felt like free Americans,
Yeah.
So I think they were already leaving in droves, and I think this is just people are just gonna say it's too hard. It's the too hard basket. We were hanging on, but
Wow.
we got to go find something else. A lot of these middle class families. They haven't got the resources to rebuild.
No,
And
they don't.
I mean, the insurance company, they all canceled their whole things beforehand, and
Months
it's just
ago.
terrible.
It's awful.
They send drones around. Oh, you haven't got a railing on you haven't got a screen on your window. Sorry, we're canceling your insurance. It's that kind of, it's this crazy thing that's going on. Yeah. And then to have, no resources to fight this disaster.
That goes on. I mean, the thing that struck me, Mel, unlike Katrina, which was a one and done, it was over in 24 hours. This thing has gone on, and even with the national attention, they don't seem to have marshaled the resources or the will or the organization to at least stop these fires and protect their citizens. That's what I find most outrageous.
Look at the chemical spills in Ohio. Look at that stuff.
Yeah.
What did they do? Look at all these storms over on the East Coast now. I mean, what are they? It's just it's neglect, and then of course we're giving all our money to other people, and and neglecting our own, and giving it to people illegals coming across the border and putting them up in hotels and giving them phones and spending billions, and.
It's a lack of focus on the citizenry and the things that matter and the lasting infrastructure, which I certainly see in New Orleans and other places I travel. It's just crumbling. Look, there are thousands of people, Mel, in North Carolina, in Florida, now in LA, trying to recover from disasters and find home again. What has this experience taught you, and what would you offer them?
Well, I think you got to be. One has to depend on oneself and one's neighbors and one's family and one's friends and your community in order to and to band together and to make your voices heard, because it's clear and all over the country that our elected officials, I don't think they give a damn because they're not really doing much. So it's up to us.
Yeah.
I think so, and it's and put your faith in God and kind of move forward
and let Him lead you.
And that's hard to do, man. When your ass is on fire.
yeah, and and the neighborhood around
and the neighbors. I mean, the people I've seen. I mean, God, this woman down the road. She had she's got two boys who are autistic, and she they don't know what to do without their environment, and she's found a way to some special forces guys are doing really good services, and they're going around getting people places to live and doing really good things. So it's in the community like that, and our community needs to tell government what we need and what we want.
And demand it happen. Well, thank God for those people. And look, we're praying for you, your family, all those caught in the path of these fires, Mel. And we have much more on the other side of this. We're going to talk about your upcoming film, because I do think in the midst of tragedies like this, you need to find joy and you need to find opportunities to come together as a community. And your new film, Flight Risk, is a great way to do that.
Well, yeah, it's kind of fun. And it's entertainment. It's crazy. It's full of thrills and spills, and it doesn't last too long. You don't have to.
No, it's a quick ride. It's a wild ride.
You're not going to get a numb. You're not going to get a numb butt in the cinema from sitting there watching it, because you're in and out in 90 minutes, and it's fast and crazy, and hopefully, and I think it's pretty entertaining. So hey, it's the best I can do with no time.
Well, look, you do a fantastic job. The film is fantastic, and we're going to talk about it on the other side of this. Thank you, Mel. God bless you, my friend.
Yes, yun po, natapos ang interview mula kay Mel Gibson. So, hanggang dito na lang. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Ingat. God bless.